Army in shock. Is Chanel USA secretly preparing to crown Jungkook as their ultimate ambassador? The viral Olivier Polge photo raises even bigger questions than answers. Could a single monochrome photograph really be hiding the most strategic luxury brand move of the decade? Or has the world simply underestimated the magnitude of Chanel's interest in Jungkook? The internet has been asking this same question ever since a striking black and white image of Jungkook standing beside Olivier Polge surfaced, and immediately shattered the illusion that this collaboration was going to be a simple ambassador announcement. Why does this one photo feel so cinematic, so intentional, so polished, as if Chanel is whispering a secret they're not ready to admit out loud? Why does it feel like a silent preview of a much larger campaign that hasn't been unveiled yet? As the picture continues to dominate global feeds, people from Seoul, Paris, New York, and beyond find themselves returning to the same lingering mystery. Was this truly just an editorial shot captured casually during a creative discussion? Or did Chanel USA intentionally release a coded message that Jungkook is being positioned not merely as an ambassador, but as the new face and future icon of the brand's identity in America, perhaps even the entire North American market? The image is undeniably beautiful, but beauty is never the point in luxury branding. The intention behind beauty is, the more the photo circulates, the more it becomes difficult to believe that this was meant to be a simple representation of a meeting. The grayscale tones, the gentle shadows, the framing, the posture, the minimal aesthetic, every detail feels like a meticulously crafted scene from a Chanel short film. Jungkook's understated elegance, with his oversized black Chanel sweater, slim trousers, and delicate jewelry framing the tattoos on his arms, feels too harmonious with Chanel's modern identity to pass as coincidence. Olivier Polge, dressed in a tailored gray suit and holding a star-shaped installation piece, stands beside him with an expression that hints at creative synergy rather than formality. There is symbolism in this composition, and symbolism is never unintentional at Chanel. This raises the biggest question buzzing through ARMY communities and fashion circles alike. Why would Chanel release, or allow to be released, a photograph that looks so intentional, so editorial, so cinematic, if Jungkook is going to be just another ambassador? Luxury houses never use this level of artistic visual language unless they are preparing a major shift in their narrative. This single photo doesn't just introduce Jungkook. It elevates him. It frames him as someone central to the brand's future. The speculation only grows louder when fans begin noticing that Chanel USA has been unusually engaged. Their accounts, which typically maintain a conservative posting strategy until the precise moment of a scheduled campaign drop, suddenly began behaving as though they couldn't wait to amplify any content involving Jungkook. It feels bold. It feels eager. It feels unlike Chanel's usual reserved rhythm. I ask this eagerness a coincidence? Or is it the first sign that the American branch of Chanel is preparing a large-scale, US-dominated rollout built specifically around Jungkook, something bigger than his current role as global ambassador for Chanel fragrance and beauty? Several American fashion writers have whispered that Chanel USA has been preparing an ambassadorial centerpiece for 2026, someone capable of capturing the attention of Gen Z, millennials, and global luxury consumers simultaneously. If such a figure exists, it is difficult to imagine anyone other than Jungkook fitting that description with such precision. Everything about the timing of this photo deepens the mystery instead of solving it. Chanel could have released the photograph during the ambassador announcement, riding the initial wave of global attention. But they didn't. They waited. They let the announcement trend. They let excitement build. And then, at the moment where the internet began to calm down, they dropped the image that reignited everything. Strategically, it was brilliant. Emotionally, it was explosive. And in the silent language of luxury branding, it was unmistakably deliberate. The question then becomes, why the delay? Was it a tactic to create a second viral wave? One that feels more personal, more exclusive, more intimate? Was the photo meant to feel like something we weren't supposed to see yet? Something leaked from behind the creative curtain? If so, the strategy worked flawlessly. Fans treat it not as promotional content, but as a piece of a puzzle they are now determined to solve. What makes the image even more intriguing is Olivier Polge's presence. The man is Chanel's master perfumer, the mind behind Bleu de Chanel and countless modern classics. He does not appear in casual photo ops. If he is present, something meaningful is happening. His placement beside Jungkook suggests a collaboration that extends beyond promotional work. It suggests creativity. It suggests storytelling. It suggests an artistic exchange that could hint at something deeper, perhaps even the development of a new campaign or fragrance that centers Jungkook in its narrative. Could Jungkook be stepping into a role he has never held before? One where he becomes not just the face of a product, but the muse behind its identity? Fans are already drawing parallels between the visual tone of the photograph and the iconic cinematic style of Bleu de Chanel. The grayscale elegance, the sharp contrasts, the introspective mood. It all feels like a silent continuation of the Bleu universe. But if Chanel truly plans to connect Jungkook with Bleu de Chanel, the implications are immense. Previous Bleu campaigns were led by actors rooted in French and Hollywood cinema. Replacing that tradition with a Korean artist, one who defines the global musical landscape, would be a historic shift. The emotional response from fans has only intensified the conversation. Many describe the photograph as Jungkook's crowning moment, the visual transition from international pop star to global fashion icon. His expression in the frame is confident but calm, poised but unforced. He doesn't look like someone stepping into a role he was assigned. He looks like someone stepping into a destiny he grew into. The internet has repeatedly asked the same rhetorical question in countless variations. Did Chanel just give Jungkook the keys to their brand kingdom? Luxury analysts have echoed the sentiment in more technical terms. They point out that Jungkook's influence in the US market is not just large, it is foundational. His Calvin Klein era proved that he can single-handedly alter purchasing patterns across American retail. His Spotify dominance, his viral reach, his cultural relevance in the West, all of it makes him uniquely positioned to become the bridge between luxury heritage and modern global influence. Which brings us back to the lingering uncertainty that refuses to fade. Is Jungkook simply Chanel's newest ambassador? Or is this the beginning of a long-term strategy to recenter Chanel's identity through his image? The clues in the photo suggest the latter. The strategic enthusiasm from Chanel USA hints at something expansive. And the emotional, artistic tone of the imagery feels too monumental to belong to an ordinary announcement. If this is the introduction, what does the main campaign look like? If this is the teaser, what is the full narrative? If this is the beginning, how powerful will the next chapter be? And perhaps the most captivating mystery of all remains unanswered. Has Chanel shown us only the surface of their plans? Or is Jungkook about to redefine what it means to be the face of a global luxury house? The more people attempt to decode the photograph, the more it becomes clear that Chanel didn't simply capture Jungkook in a moment. They crafted an atmosphere around him. Every flicker of light, every stroke of grayscale, every angle of shadow feels like a message waiting to be understood. Why does the image feel like a prologue rather than a standalone portrait? Why does it look like a scene from a film whose trailer hasn't been released yet? Why does it feel as though we are witnessing the opening of a new chapter in luxury branding? One that revolves not around a Hollywood star or fashion supermodel, but around a global musician whose influence sits at the core of modern culture. The photograph doesn't introduce Jungkook to Chanel. It introduces Chanel through Jungkook. IT presents him with the gravity of a narrative hero, the quiet intensity of someone who doesn't need to announce his importance because the framing already does it for him. His presence in the shot is magnetic, calm, confident, grounded, but with a spark of curiosity in his gaze, as if he already knows that this collaboration will evolve far beyond the surface. There is a sense of anticipation in the photo, not just from him, but from the brand itself, as if Chanel is standing on the edge of a transformation they have been preparing in silence. Fashion critics who have analyzed Chanel's campaigns for years notice something even more intriguing. When Chanel decides to build a new identity or refresh a product's image, they often begin with visual storytelling rather than text. They release a photograph that feels incomplete, like a clue or a whisper. They let the world speculate. They allow curiosity to do the marketing for them before the official narrative drops. This photograph fits that pattern so precisely that it is difficult to believe it was constructed with that exact purpose in mind. The whispers from industry insiders have only added fuel to the fire. Some claim that Chanel USA has been working on a concept that involves merging fragrance artistry with contemporary performance identity, something that blends scent, sound, and modern aesthetics into one cohesive campaign. If that rumor holds truth, who else could embody such a fusion better than a global superstar whose very presence merges music, visual storytelling, emotion, and influence into one? Jungkook's brand isn't just popularity, it's universality. His aura doesn't need translation. His appeal doesn't need cultural adjustment. He is instantly understood by America, Europe, Asia, Latin America, and beyond. Chanel has never had an asset like that. What deepens the intrigue is how Jungkook's artistic identity aligns with Chanel's long-standing values. Chanel has always been obsessed with duality, the contrast between softness and strength, simplicity and complexity, heritage and innovation. Jungkook himself embodies that contrast effortlessly. He carries an image that blends gentle charisma with bold individuality, classic elegance with modern edge, luxury with raw authenticity. When he stands beside Olivier Polge, the visual message feels almost symbolic, a merging of two worlds, two crafts, two interpretations of art. And yet, even with all the speculation, perhaps the most compelling part of this entire mystery lies in the unanswered silence surrounding it. Chanel has said nothing beyond the initial ambassador announcement. They have not commented on the photograph, nor the symbolism, nor the timing. They have not teased a campaign, nor hinted at a storyline. They have allowed the world to fill in the gaps. And the world has been filling them at a staggering pace, connecting dots that may or may not have been placed intentionally. But if they were intentional, what does that say about the scale of the plan? The reactions from fans strengthen this narrative even more. ARMY has always been known for their analytical instincts, but this time, their observations align unusually well with the logic of luxury branding. When people say the photo looks like the introduction of a new fragrance era, they're not exaggerating. When they say it resembles the first chapter of a cinematic campaign, they're not imagining it. They are reading visual cues that Chanel itself has used for decades. They are decoding a brand language that is designed to communicate silently. It is also impossible to ignore how Jungkook's presence recalibrates the conversation around representation in luxury fashion. Chanel is one of the most elite, historically Western luxury houses in existence. For decades, their ambassadors reflected a very specific archetype of beauty and identity, usually rooted in European cinema and high fashion. To see a Korean artist, not just included, but placed at the center of a visually powerful narrative, signals a tectonic shift in the brand's worldview. It suggests that Chanel no longer sees regional appeal, they see global influence. And Jungkook represents the pinnacle of that global influence. This moment doesn't just belong to Jungkook, it belongs to every evolving element of the industry he is transforming. His rise within Chanel becomes a case study of how luxury branding adapts to a new generation, one that no longer responds to exclusivity built on tradition alone, but to authenticity supported by cultural connectivity. Jungkook is not replacing the old icons. He is redefining what an icon looks like in the modern world. And perhaps that is the very reason why Chanel is framing him in this almost mythic light. The American market, in particular, finds itself at the center of all these theories. Chanel USA has always played a crucial role in shaping global beauty and fragrance campaigns. Their decisions influence launches across continents. Their strategies often become global blueprints. If they truly see Jungkook as the future face of their North American identity, then his influence is about to expand even further than anyone predicted. How will Americans respond to a fragrance campaign led by a Korean artist? How will Hollywood react to an era where a K-pop star becomes the face of one of the most powerful luxury brands in their own backyard? How will the global industry shift as a result? These are questions that the fashion world is already contemplating, even before Chanel makes its next move. And perhaps the most intriguing aspect of this slow-building narrative is the sense that this is merely the beginning. The photograph feels like a door that has only just begun to open. The real story, the one that Chanel has carefully structured, refined, polished, and prepared, is still waiting behind that door. There is an energy in the air, an anticipation that feels almost cinematic. It's the sensation you get right before the music starts playing in a film, right before the lights shift, right before the protagonist takes center stage.